Night holds no terrors from me, sleeping under God's wings. Those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High
and abide in the shade of the Almighty, say to the Lord, my refuge, my stronghold, my God in whom I trust.
It is he who will save you from the snare of the fowler who seeks to destroy you. He will conceal you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge.
You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the plague that prowls in the darkness, nor the scourge that lays waste at noon.
1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right. You it will never approach. His faithfulness is buckler and shield.
Your eyes have only to look, to see how the wicked are repaid. You have said, Lord, my refuge, and have made the Most High your dwelling.
On you no evil shall fall, no plague approach where you dwell. For you he has commanded his angels to keep you in all your ways.
They shall bear you upon their hands, lest you strike your foot against a stone. On the lion and the viper you will tread, and trample the young lion and the dragon.
You set your love on me, so I will save you. Protect you, for you know my name. When you call, I shall answer. I am with you. I will save you in distress and give you glory.
With length of days I will content you. I shall let you see my saving power.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen.
Hold no terrors for me, sleeping under God's wings.
A reading from the Gospel of St. John. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you know me, then you will also know my Father. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Jesus said to him, Have I been with you for so long a time, and you still do not know me, Philip? Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
From intimacy with Jesus to following Jesus. Father Pedro Arrupe, the former Father General of the Society of Jesus, is said to have once offered this advice to a young couple on their wedding day. nothing is more practical than finding God. That is, falling in love in quite an absolute and a final way. Whatever you are in love with, whatever seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you will do with your evenings, how you will spend your weekends, what you will read, whom you will know, what will break your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. When you think about it, that's the kind of advice that would strike any of us as being incredibly obvious. And we might wonder why we didn't think of it ourselves, and in the process copyright it. If a sister of this monastery had done that, I'm sure you would now be a monastery of rich Clares. But when you think about it again, though, such a lack of awareness, particularly within our society, can also strike us as equally obvious. Why? Because, in short, our culture has reduced love to pure sentimentality. It's a feeling. Powerful, certainly, overwhelming at times, and it can change your life. But in the end, it's a feeling. And as we all know, feelings can be fickle. They come, they go, and then people move on to the next love of my life. In the light of Clare's love for Jesus, this light of hers shines on this reality so bright as to be blindingly obvious. Because the love she had for Jesus and the intimacy she shared with Jesus was about more than how she felt. It was about all the choices that she made, each and every day, especially the choice to get up out of bed in the morning when she was able to, and once again place one foot in front of another and follow Jesus. To walk in Jesus' footprints. It's something that most people would probably associate more with St. Francis than St. Clare. Like Jesus, Francis walked the highways and the byways of the world with no place to lay his head. Clare herself affirmed that such a pilgrim way was intrinsic to Francis's following of Jesus, didn't she? As we know, when Francis was sorely tempted to give up the road for the peace and quiet of a hermitage, Clare told him in no uncertain terms, God did not call you for yourself. He called you to go into the world and to preach the gospel to every creature under heaven. In what sense, then, can we say the same of Clare, who lived virtually her entire life in a monastery? Her palate may have been hard, but nevertheless, it was some place to lay her head. But yet Clare was as much a pilgrim as Francis was, and as Francis himself knew and honored. For she lived her pilgrimage by following Jesus in his humility, his poverty, and his divine humanity. A divine humanity. Those aren't two things that seem to go together in our mind very often. To err is human, as the saying goes. And where's the divinity in that? But if we remember the rest of the saying, we begin to see things in a different light. Because while to err may be human, to forgive is divine. And wasn't forgiveness what Jesus literally embodied in his flesh and blood? And wasn't Clare about embodying the same thing in imitation of Jesus, in her following of his way in the world? To the cardinals and popes who loved and revered her, even though they didn't understand at all her passion for following the poor Christ, Clare showed respect. to the Assisians who scoffed at the nerve she displayed when she ran away in the middle of the night to live with lepers and paupers, she humbly offered her prayers for their need and her healing arts in their illnesses. And even to Francis, who rarely came to visit her, even when she begged him to do so. When he came to San Damiano, blind and racked with fever, it was Clare who worked to bring him back to health. Or, given the state Francis was in, probably something kind of resembling good health, which is probably a miracle in and of itself. And what did all of that self-sacrifice, that complete gift of love and forgiveness for people, what did it cost Clare? We don't often think about that question. At least I tend not to think about it. But yet it did cost her something. And it is certainly worth reflecting upon and praying over for ourselves. Because only someone who would become as humble of heart and poor in spirit as Jesus himself could have offered that kind of forgiveness at all and meant it from the depth of a life given totally over to following him. And it's in that light, I think, that we ought to read this very profound passage from Clare's fourth letter to St. Agnes of Prague. Draw me after you. Let us run in the fragrance of your perfumes, O heavenly spouse. I will run and not tire until you bring me into the wine cellar, until your left hand is under my head and your right hand will embrace me happily, and you will kiss me with the happiest kiss of your mouth. Now, to those unfamiliar with the details of Clare's life story, those words probably sound a lot like a girl in the first throes of love, someone for whom love is more a feeling than anything else, overwhelming, life-changing, as much as it may be. But yet we know that they were the words of a mature woman, and she was writing from a lifetime of experience.